Okay, looks like it's time to get started. Thank you guys for joining the fourth workshop of the day. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Rue to introduce yourself and start presenting.
Okay, awesomeness. Just want to test again. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, you sound good.
Okay, awesomeness. So today I'm gonna take you through architecting a multi-agent AI system for health tracking. So I'm just gonna do a little brief introduction to myself. My name is Rue. I'm a software engineer, but I'm transitioning more into like AI engineering. Currently, I'm working on a voice AI agent that essentially helps graduate students with job applications. This is mainly within the South African region. So my main stack is TypeScript Node. I do a lot of DevOps as well. So as you can see, I do GCP over here. And I also just want to point out that I don't have any formal education with like a machine learning degree. So I just want to point out as well that anyone can get into AI engineering. You don't necessarily need to have a machine learning degree. You can just go find information out there and learn new stuff. Okay. So I just want to point everybody to this URL. I'm actually just going to paste it into the chat. There's a resource that I want to give to everybody. Let's see if I can find the chat. Where is the chat? Okay, here's the chat. Okay, so you can just go to this website and then just download the resource. We're not going to use it now, but I think it'll be good for you guys to have it because in case I might forget to like link it over at the end of the day. All right, cool. So I just want to start off with the application that I built. So I built an application called Sweet Talk, right? And one of the problems that I was trying to solve was for diabetics in my current area, which is Zimbabwe, South Africa. So you get a lot of diabetics that have access to continuous glucose monitoring systems, which is like a patch that you put on yourself, and then it gets the readings from you automatically, and then it adds it to the app. But then there's also like a subset of people as well that don't have access to the continuous glucose monitoring systems because they're slightly expensive. So now what do? They now test their glucose levels and then they write their glucose levels on notepads, or they can send themselves a WhatsApp message or just write it on a piece of paper. Now, the challenge with that is you have your information scattered everywhere, right? It's difficult to actually pick up any trends with your glucose levels, especially if you're just monitoring it for yourself, for your own health, or even if you want to go and see a doctor. You go and see a doctor and you just have scrapes, like you just have scrapes of paper, or you just have screenshots, or it's just sent to somebody, and then you try and like aggregate all their information, and then you try and speak to a doctor, and you won't be able to pick up anything or any trends, and now your diagnosis might not even be 100% accurate. So I built this app. I'm just going to walk you through the application that I built. I just need to log out first. Okay, cool. So this is the application. It's called Sweet Talk because of glucose, sugar. Okay, you get it. Okay. Let me sign in. All right, cool. So first off, as you can see, I've already been playing around with it, added already some glucose levels, but I just want to walk you through what a normal conversation would look like. So I can then say, my reading today was 5.6. Okay, cool. So in essence, I have many agents within this application that can take in readings and then save it to the database. But there's more things that happen within the application that I will show you later. So the agent does take a bit of time to like wake up and actually work. So just give it like a minute. But in essence, as you can see over here on a graph, it has all the readings for the past 7 days. It gives you an average reading. So depending on like how many times you actually log your glucose readings, it will give you the average for that day. And then as you can see, like on the left over here, there's a Q&A agent as well. With the Q&A agent, okay, I will go through every single agent. There's a Q&A agent, there's a history agent, there's an analysis agent, and then there's also personal information that you can also add here. This export feature is good for when you're going to go see your doctor. It then takes in all the information that you have added into the database. Okay, wait, let me just refresh. As I said, the agent does take a little bit of time. Just copy paste this message. Again. As I was saying, with the export feature, you can give it to your doctor who does a analysis for the past trends and the past information that you've given it. So with this chat application, it takes in a reading for your glucose levels. Okay, as you can see. So I managed to pick up that I've entered in my 5.6, which is a glucose level. Then it's going to ask me a couple of questions, a couple of follow-up questions. It's going to ask me what did I eat, how am I feeling, and what time exactly did I take this reading. So I can then say I took this reading at 7:30 a.m. actually, 7:30 a.m. And then I can be like, I ate salsa and beef stew, which is the typical food you would find within Southern Africa. And then I'm just going to leave it like that. And when I see it's going to ask me again, how you feeling? Because I didn't answer this feeling question. So it's going to take this reading, it's going to extract the data, going to process it a little bit, and then it's going to be like, oh, okay, cool, I'm missing one thing. I'm missing one extra thing, which in this case is the feeling. So feeling, you can be like, probably just had like a slight headache, but I'm feeling okay. Cool, it's now got everything that it needs, and then it should give me a confirmation box to verify that the information that I've given it is correct. As you can see now, cool, it's got my glucose readings, it's got the food, snacks. If I did type in some snacks, it would have shown over here, and then comment, slight headache, and then it also has the time. Then I'm gonna save. Then it's gonna give me a confirmation that my details have been saved to the database. Nice, perfect. I don't know if you saw the animation that just happened here, but already my average is already changed. I already have details already added in, so you won't be able to really see what the glucose reading for today is. But this is just like a small snippet of how my application currently works. As I said, you also have a Q&A section, which is different from the chat section on its own, right? So with the Q&A section, you can ask it questions based on like your highest readings, any trends, your lowest readings. History section over here, it just shows you what you just entered. So as you can see, this is our entry for today. Then if you want to change it, I'm like, okay, cool, I actually made a mistake. I want to change it to something else. You can actually do that over there. With the analysis, you can run an AI analysis. It also shows you the readings for the past date range. You can pick whatever date range you want, and then it will show you over there. The profile section, it allows you to put in what type of diabetes you have. Is it type 1? Is it type 2? Your preferred unit of measurement. How many times do you want to add your recording? And then if you add in over here, it also then responds. And then you can also add in the specific date and time that you want. And then your thresholds also depend upon, it's like different from person to person, right? 3.9 could be low for somebody, but 3.9 could be a normal range for somebody else. And it's the same thing as well that works for the high side. And then you also have a section to add in your medication, right? You also have a caregiver section. So this is, you can send a report to someone who's looking out for you, someone who you want to have access to your medical records. You can add in the email address and then the phone number and then a certain time, and then to run a specific job or to send an email, give you a summary of the glucose readings for that particular day. And then the export feature I was talking about, where it gives you a doctor's report. You can pick whatever day you want. Let's do that to that. And then you can select if you want an AI summary or not. But also, this is not medical advice. I just want to point this out. This is not medical advice. Please actually go see your doctors, right, if you have diabetes. But at least it will allow you to see if there's anything that you would have missed in terms of like your glucose level. So it'll be able to point out and be like, okay, cool. When you ate your salsa and your beef stew, your glucose levels were a little bit high. So therefore, you react to certain types of foods. I'm just going to open this report. As you can see, it's got the patient name, the type, the medications as well, the summaries, the food associations as well, any notes about like how you're feeling. And then it's got a clinical observation as well. It picks up any trends as well, noticeable highs and lows. As you can see here on the 8th of August, feeling fine. 7th of August, there were 3 readings that were done. These are my lows because probably I was fasting at that time. And then in case the doctor wants to see actual readings and not necessarily a summary report from AI, the readings are also displayed over here. And there's even more detail in terms of like what you've eaten, the snacks, and the time of and the time the reading was taken, and any extra comments regarding how you were feeling and how the glucose reading was during that time. Okay, so this is just an application that I built mainly to help my family members actually who are diabetic, to just help them keep track of the glucose levels and just to make their life a little bit easier. Okay, so now going back now to the slides. So, okay, I'm gonna actually move here. Cool. So when I built this application that I just showed you the first time, very first time, I had one agent working in the background, but it was doing a lot of things. It was doing the extraction, it was doing the logging, it was doing the answering of the questions, it was doing the analysis, it was also doing the doctor report. So now with just having one agent doing so many doing so many jobs, there's a lot of problems that you're gonna encounter. And one of the problems that I encountered was context mixing. What this essentially means was if I was adding in a reading, like for example, I'll say log 6.2 and be like, okay, cool, I've logged 6.2, right? And then if I switch up the question, right, there's no confirmation if my reading has actually been logged into the database. Now I have inconsistent data. Now imagine if you're trying to do an analysis, but then there's also data missing, or it has been saved incorrectly in the DB. You're going to get a wrong diagnosis. You're going to get a wrong analysis. And then imagine if you go to the doctor, you're going to get the wrong medication because the information is not there. Another issue was there was no checkpoint. There was no verification to actually say that, okay, cool, the information that I've given the agent is real and true and nothing else has been messed up. Imagine saving that to the DB. Imagine putting 6.2 into your application and then the agent then saves 9.2. That's already misinformation. And then if I tried to add one more, you could say functionality, it would then break the whole thing, right? Even if I tried to fix, let's say my extraction and logging wasn't working. I'm trying to fix my extraction and logging. But as I'm fixing my extraction and logging, I'm also breaking something else within the system. As I'm fixing that side or that part of the system, I'm also breaking another part of the system. So the blast radius, in essence, the area of concern and the problems that you then end up solving become more, right? And you end up not actually accomplishing what it is that you want to be building within your application. Okay, so in essence, there's a lot of responsibility overload, right? One agent was doing all the work. It was doing the extraction, it was doing the logging, it was doing the gatekeeping, it was doing the verification. Okay, so I came up with a framework. In essence, a couple of questions that you can ask yourself as you're building your application, as you're building your feature in your hackathon to kind of like help you decide and see if you need to break up your agent into smaller agents, into multiple agents, in order for you to get a better output and a better outcome, right? I'm going to go through all four of these questions, but essentially it's more like a checklist, right? You just ask yourself these questions. If you get more than two yeses, and then you know that, okay, cool, you know what, let me actually break this up into something else and not keep it as one big agent that does all the work. Okay. All right, just to check in, is everybody okay? Do I need to slow down? Are we all good? Okay, I'm assuming we're okay. All right, so the first question that you can ask yourself is like, does my agent need a different kind of judgment? So what does this mean in essence? Take, for example, my application of Sweet Talk, right? The main objective was to log your glucose levels. But there's a lot of things that's also happening as well. There's the classification, right? And then there's also the extraction of the details. There's also validation, as you saw, the confirmation, right? So the moment you see that you have more than one verb, right, for whatever it is that your agent is doing, it's best to break it up into multiple agents. In essence, your agent, like each agent must in essence do one specific job. Then when you add two jobs together, you now add more complexity to your application. Another question you can ask yourself is a mistake too costly to skip a check? Right? Going back to my application, I'm just gonna go back to you see this confirmation box here. Imagine if this wasn't there, right? And it just said, okay, saved. But I'm not too sure what it actually saved. Did it save the right details? Did it actually save my glucose readings? Did it actually save the food that I ate? Did it actually take note of my headache that I had? Did it actually take note of the time in which actually took this glucose reading? All this information is actually very important when you end up doing your analysis or even when you go to the doctor, even for yourself as a patient. Knowing very specific details of your readings and the specific time and exactly what you ate, and having a confirmation box here to really make sure that the data that you're entering into your system is factual and is true is very, very important. Take, for example, the banking system, right? If you if you make a purchase, right, online shopping, you'll always get a confirmation like, do you really want to make this purchase, so that you don't get double charged by the bank? Because imagine getting double charged, no one will be happy about that. So now if you're dealing with health data, this is sensitive data. You don't want to get a misdiagnosis on anything in essence. So it's good to ask yourself, is it costly if I skip a check? Yes, it is. Then that means you most likely need an agent that does the confirmation for you before you actually save the data there. Okay. Another question you ask yourself, would a change break something? Let's say you've built your agent does a specific task, and then you want to add more functionality to it. And you see that, okay, cool, I've added more functionality to it, but my level of output, the quality of output that I'm getting is actually not good. The quality has dropped, right? It is best in that moment to also, once again, break it up and make it into multiple agents. My rule of thumb is let one agent just have one job. That's it. Just make sure it has one job. Okay, another question I need to ask yourself is, does it need to run in parallel? Right. So a pretty good example is, you saw how I have like a QA agent over here, and then I have an analysis agent. Now imagine if I had the QA and the analysis in one big prompt, or rather in one big agent. That means I'll need to run the QA first, wait for the QA to finish, then run the analysis, right? So that means analysis would depend on QA finishing and finishing successfully. That's also like another thing. So why is this a problem? This is a problem because now your application is slow, because it's waiting for one task to finish and then wait for another one to finish. But in essence, QA and analysis, these are two separate agents. None of them actually depend on each other, so they can actually run at the same time. This is where the parallelization thing comes in. You can actually make independent agents run at the same time or run together, rather than waiting for one agent to finish, especially if the output is not necessary as input for the next agent. Okay, so in essence, this is what it would look like. Okay, if you look at the document that I gave you, you don't need to look at it now, but later on, you can go through these steps, right? Whatever feature, whatever agent you guys are gonna build for your hackathon, just run your feature and agent through these steps. Take your time. Like I said, the moment you have more than two yeses, decide. Okay. The moment you have more than two yeses, that means you need to split your agents. If you don't have anything like more than two yeses, then okay, cool. You just keep it as is. All right. So like I said, I want you guys to just think about it. Whatever it is that you're going to be building, take your time, go through the framework, go through the workflow. If you also see like at the end of the framework, I think on the last two pages, there's like a worksheet that you guys can like work on. It gives you the questions that we just asked, and then you can either say yes or no and then give your answers there, right? This is just for part A. Right, I'm gonna go through another example. If my mouse decides to work. My mouse, my mouse. Okay, there we go. Cool. I'm gonna go through like a very small example. Let's say a mood check-in app. I think one of the presenters, if I'm not mistaken, I think presented on a app with, I think it's sleep patterns or something like that. Okay, we're just gonna use a mood check, for example, right? So when a mood check app, right, we're gonna be like, okay, cool. What are we actually really doing, right? We're gonna ask the user, how are you feeling today? How's it going? What's your mood like? We're gonna save the mood. Probably gonna analyze it, look at the trends over time as well, and see like, okay, cool. For the past 7 days, you've been feeling very grumpy because you're not taking, um, like you're not sleeping, you're not drinking your water, and you're not walking. Someone did a health app just now. We're gonna use that as an example, right? So cool. We're gonna go through one example because of time as well. Cool. So we're gonna ask yourself, does this app need a different kind of judgment? With the mood app, you need to break it down. What am I really doing here? What am I really trying to accomplish? I'm going to read the mood, right? So that means it's going to take in data from the user. It's going to interpret the data. Then later on, it's going to then decide, okay, cool. Am I going to give the user tips on how to improve their mood, or like how to make their life better, right? Imagine if you put this into one big prompt. You'd actually see the level, you would actually see the quality of the output that you would get is actually different, because now you have two jobs in one agent, rather than separating them and making sure that you have the best quality output that you can get from the interpret agent. You make sure that, especially if especially if it's human input, right? Like work was rough. That means a lot of things. Like, what does that really mean? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of work that actually goes into just interpreting human data and then trying to extract whatever data that you want. And then after interpreting that data, you still need to decide as an agent, okay, cool, what am I going to do after I've gotten this data, right? Imagine if all of this was in one prompt. Your quality of output is actually going to be so different if you actually try it out. So in this case, I've already answered one question. That's one yes, right? And then if you go through the workflow again, you will see at the end that you actually end up with more yeses than the no's in essence. So if you're building a mood tracker app in the hackathon, I don't know if you're going to be allowed to do that. All I'm saying is go through the framework, guys. You're going to end up with more. Okay, cool. So now that we've broken up our agents, right? We have more than two agents in our workflow. How are they actually going to communicate to each other? What patterns can you use in your workflow to make sure that everything works together, everything is glued together? Because now you just have agents that are just floating in the air. Okay. So there are four patterns that I'm just going to talk about today, but there are many other patterns that you can use. I'm just going to give you these four. So the first pattern is called routing. You could say routing is like a bouncer. You know, when you go to a club, that's if you go to a club, or you go to a party, right? And then there's someone at the door there that says, "Give me your ID. I want to see if you actually have legal access to come in." It's roughly the same. It's roughly the same thing. So in essence, with our application, remember we're building our mood app. It's going to ask us, okay, cool. Oops, sorry guys. Okay, it's going to ask us, cool. Feeling low today. It's like, okay, cool. I have a bunch of agents that can somehow answer this question or do a task, but I need to find the best one, right? And okay, cool. Feeling low today. Is it a check-in agent that I'm going to use? Is it a question agent? Is it a journal agent? When it finds the right one, it's then going to redirect you to the right place. I'm going to give you a good example with my app. Let me see if it works. I hope it works. I hope it works. Okay, so we all know that this is used for logging and read. I'm going to say, I'm going to just put in something random. Buy me shoes. Because I know someone's going to tap that. Buy me shoes. Okay, there we go. This is a gatekeeper. It's like, okay, cool. Listen, I can only help you with logging readings. Anything else I can help you with? This is an example of a gatekeeper agent. What it did is it took in the prompt and then it says, okay, cool. Does this relate to any of the agents that I have access to? If it doesn't, then block the user and be like, no, listen, this is all I can do. If it does, this is when we end up with the loggings and the readings. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The next pattern that you can also use is a sequential pattern. Good example with our mood tracking app is it's going to extract the mood, right? Then the output that we get from the extract agent is what we then use as input for the validate agent. And then the same thing applies as well when you then save and commit. This is what you call a sequential. Oops, sorry guys. This is what you call a sequential pattern. Essentially, they run one after the other. They don't exist as separate entities. They literally need each other. Okay, so the order actually matters here because you can't validate and then extract and then save. The output and the data that you're going to be saving and the quality of the data that you're going to be saving is just going to be skewed, it's going to be wrong. Okay, so the output and the order actually matters in this case. Our next thing is the human in the loop. Very good example, literally just showing you guys this confirmation box. It's a very good example of human in the loop. Why is human in the loop necessary? Because like I said, with health data or anything that is very important where any action can be costly if it's not checked, you need a human in the loop to make a confirmation because agents can go wild. They can just do whatever. They can save data, they can save skew data. This is why a human in the loop is necessary in this case. Confirmation box makes sure that, okay, cool, the information that the agent extracted from our conversation is real and true, and we can actually save it to the DB. All right, this is like another thing that you can do. Then the last one is parallelization. We spoke about it a few slides ago, but I'm just going to do it again. With your agents that you've built, right? This is more of like a performance issue. With your application that you guys are going to build, you don't want it to be slow. You don't want an action to be blocked by another action that doesn't actually need that particular action, right? So in essence, with logging the mood, you don't need to log the mood and then scan a 2-week trend, right? Like none of these actually depend on each other. You can actually do these at the same time and continue on with the flow of your process and with your application. Okay, so these are the four different patterns that you can use when you're building your architecture for your agents, for your multi-agents, right? So the cool thing now is you can actually use all patterns in one app, right? Mind blowing, I know. You can literally use everything in one application, right? I'm gonna explain this. So with my Sweet Talk app, this is literally the architecture of it, right? I have a routing agent, right, which I showed you. It's essentially the gatekeeper agent, and it then allows or enables the access to all the other agents, right? The user is going to put in the input and be like, okay, cool. What are we doing here first? We're going to extract and log. Cool. Does the user want to ask a question? No, they're not asking a question. Are they trying to analyze? No. So we're going to go straight here, right? So this section here is now your routing pattern, right? Step one. Step two, you see these agents, right? None of these agents actually depend upon each other. So they can actually run in parallel. You can actually do your extraction and logging and your QA and your analysis relatively at the same time. What I mean at the same time is meaning like if I do my extraction and logging, it doesn't necessarily affect the input and the output of my Q&A agent. And the same thing as well, it doesn't affect anything else from QA and extraction when I'm doing my analysis. These things can run independently. So that's already your parallel. So you see, that's already two patterns within one small thing. Then we're going to go deeper and further by adding in a human in the loop. And since this hackathon is based on wellness, I highly encourage everybody to include, no, get away. I highly encourage everybody to include your human in the loop. Very important, especially dealing with health data. Are you 100% sure that this information is correct and it does not skew? This is where you add in your confirmation and the human can be like, yes, this is true, or no, this is not true, right? And then you can save, or if it's not, then you just restart the entire process. So the four patterns that we just spoke about: routing, the parallelization, the human in the loop. I don't have a sequential one here. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, cool. Yes. So in essence, oh, okay, we're already done. All right. So in essence, you don't need a lot of agents as well. You just need to be able to go through the framework, go through the workflow, ask yourself these very important questions. Go through this worksheet as well because it also goes into uh, deeper explanations as well. And the nice thing is that you can also see how I walked through when I was building this agent, the agent, the job, and also the question, right? The nice thing as well, you can also see the challenges that I went through when I had one big agent, if you just go through this, right? So to give you an idea of how to split your agents, how to split your application, to make it more accessible, to make it more reliable, to make it more user friendly, and to make it optimized for speed. Okay. All right. So, guys, this is it. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions, let me know. But thank you for listening and for this opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much. That was such a cool app. I love that it has real world applications and that you talked through the entire process. That was awesome. Okay, it looks like you have a
Awesome. Thank you.
question in the chat.
Okay, what's the question for beginners? Do you have any resources you'd recommend them? Okay, cool. So in terms of resources, I don't know if I can share my screen again. Oh man. Oh man. Okay, let me actually do this. Right, cool. So for resources, I think the best place for you guys to like start is Maven. There's a site called Maven. It has a lot of free resources, especially for like AI. There's a lot of AI stuff really that you can like look into. And most of their free resources are actually really good. They're really, really good because these actually come from professionals that work in industry. So you can get a lot of insight in it. So if you want to start looking into multi-agents and AI, or even things that are not even related to engineering, Maven is a really good resource. Let me just give it to you guys and then add it to the chat. But yeah.
Okay, do you guys have any other questions? Looks like we have a couple more minutes left if you guys have any other questions. Okay, I see one more person typing in the chat.
Uh, Accuracy, so machines sometimes get wrong values, especially when the machine has taken recorders for a very long time. So the patient can add something called a HbA1c. It would enhance accuracy. Okay, this is actually pretty cool. I'll look into it. Thank you so much. I don't know what this is, but I'll definitely look into it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a really helpful tip. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
it is. It is. Thank you.
Okay, I see one more person typing, so once we get that last comment, we'll probably end the session.
What platforms do you use for organizing agents? Okay, so I didn't cover this, but there are many different platforms. So I use a platform called Mastra. Let me just share my screen again. I don't know if I'll be able to actually show you the thing. So the different platforms that you can use, I think there's like Langchan and other ones that I haven't really tried. But the one that I used to build this is called Mastra. So the nice thing about Master is it's TypeScript friendly, so people that do JavaScript, Node.js can actually use it without having to learn Python. Even though Python is like the way people are like moving with AI agents and all. But I used Master. I don't know if I can uh, Master Studio. Can I get no? Okay, let's just give me the same link. Master. Oh, okay. Well, can't find my page now. But like if you use Master Studio, it allows you to actually see your agents, and you can actually test your agents in like in a local environment, and you can actually test the output and all. Uh, just if you give me guys like 2 seconds, I might be able to
Uh, if you
master.
want to find it offline and then share it in the workshop later chat, we can also just distribute it
Yes.
along with your slides later if that would be more helpful.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, so just go to master.ai. You'll be able to find all the information that you need with regarding agents.
Okay. And I think with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. The next workshop is going to be in about 10 minutes. But once again, thank you, Rue, so much. You did an amazing job. And I hope that for those of you in the audience that are going to be participating in the hackathon, that this workshop was helpful to you.